Hi guys, welcome to Twin Perspective. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And tonight we are going to be presenting the top 50 best movies of the 90s. Now, this will be the first video, numbers 50 through 26 for each of us. Normally these videos take an hour and a half. We'll try to shorten it, I'm so sure.
Try.
But before we get to the list, we're going to talk about some honorable mentions. Why don't you list off your honorable mentions first? The whole thing.
Well, it's a list of my favorite movies from the 90s.
Right, it's a combination.
Yeah, combination of both. Some really great movies didn't make my list, and some really bad ones did. First one I want to mention is Crazy People. Honorable mention. Dudley Moore and Daryl Hannah. Dudley Moore, Truth in Advertising. And it gets him sent to a loony bin, and it becomes a rip-roaring success, this Truth in Advertising thing. And him and the loonies start writing great advertising jingles. And it's funny. I thought it was an 80s movie. It's actually 1990 or 91.
It's a brilliant movie. Definitely made my top 60. It was on that cusp.
It's fun. It's hard to find. You need to search it out. Dudley Moore. If you know Dudley Moore and you just know him from author, watch Crazy People.
Mm-hmm.
It fucks him up.
The subject matter is brilliant. You know, George Carlin touched on it a lot about advertisement. How they tell you if it says chicken flavor, guess what? No fucking chicken. You know, and you just take it to another step with this movie. Check it out if you can. I love that movie.
All right. Next one, I have Arachnophobia. A really good spider movie. Jeff Daniels leading the way. I believe I saw that in the theater. And it's got John Goodman in a brief but hilarious cameo. And this badass poisonous spider mates with a house spider, and it creates a whole bunch of little house spiders that are deadly. Mm-hmm. And they start branching out all over town.
And John Goodman's an exterminator, and he has to save the day.
Yep.
Okay, what's next?
Grosse Point Blank. John Cusack. Gotta love John Cusack. He comes and goes. He does little pictures, independent stuff. He's not a big Hollywood guy. And it's one that's under the radar. He's a hitman, and he goes back to his high school reunion, 20-year class reunion. And it's an all-80s weekend. The soundtrack, 2 volumes. You need to buy them both. Mm-hmm. Great soundtrack, worth the price of admission.
Yes, that's a really good movie and a cult favorite, a cult classic, I would say. And if you're thinking along those lines, I can see why you would put this in your top 10, top 20 of the decade.
That's true.
It's a really good movie.
Dan Aykroyd is a rival hitman.
Right.
And they're all trying to get jobs, get hits on people. You get a certain amount of money.
Jeremy Piven,
John Cusack's longtime buddy is in it.
And Minnie Driver.
She holds her own.
She does okay, but kudos to John Cusack, who is a Bernie Sanders supporter. Wow. I think I can say. Okay, let's go on.
Private Parts.
Ooh, I love that movie.
Yeah. Howard Stern plays himself in the autobiography of his life.
Directed by?
Oh, crap. Penelope Spheris?
I think it's Betty Thomas.
It is Betty Thomas.
And she does an incredible job of bringing this story to life, because I could imagine working with Howard Stern on a movie would be a taxing thing. But for him to get what seemed very personal, the title, Private Parts, probably lends itself to that. But besides that, it's a really good movie. It feels like it was telling the truth, and from what I can remember, it seemed pretty accurate.
WNBC.
Oh, I swallowed. Okay, and what else for your honorable mentions?
The last one I wanted to mention, because this is another one that goes under the radar, Love Stinks, with French Stewart. Yes.
That is a brilliant comedy.
The annoying guy from Third Rock from the Sun. Mm-hmm. And who's the female lead? His wife.
Yeah, she was the girl from Billy Madison.
Yeah, she was Adam Sandler's love interest in Billy Madison. I can't remember her name. Hot and psycho. He falls in love, they get married, and it's like who can get out of this relationship first, and she just wants what she can get to get out of it, and he's got to fight her tooth and nail to the end, even if he has to kill himself.
I think the movie ends where they're both heading to the hospital in an ambulance. So,
You shot me in the ass, bitch.
I don't remember.
You don't ever see it. You don't see it on any cable network. You don't see it.
It never plays.
It never plays, and I don't know what they're holding it for. It's got Jason Bateman in it.
It's a funny movie. It really is a good movie.
Yeah, it's so under the radar, and it's so worth a watch.
Yeah. I actually rented it and then bought it after I rented it because I liked it so much.
She puts hair remover in his shampoo, and he goes to work a day bald-headed, and he works in a writer's room, so he's like, all right, you got 1 minute, shoot. And they all just start taking turns ripping on him. Hey, why don't you comb some of that skin over and make it look fuller? You look like a big roll-on deodorant stick. And time. Okay.
Okay, my 5 honorable mentions. Now, this is going to be weird, but these 4 did not make either one of our lists. Well, none of these honorable mentions made either one of our lists, but these 4 seem like they would be the best 4 movies of the decade, so prepare yourself.
You all got them on your list.
These 4 movies are probably on the top of your list of 90s movies. Fight Club, Reservoir Dogs,
You ain't got to be Mr. Pink.
The Matrix, and Schindler's List. Now, those 4 movies could be the top 4 movies of the decade. And you couldn't get any argument from anybody. Fight Club, Reservoir Dogs, The Matrix, Schindler's List.
Did not make my list.
Did not make my list either. Tolerate our list. Don't check out now. Just giving you a heads up.
Goodfellas ain't on it either.
I don't think Goodfellas made my list either. Darn.
Oops.
And the one movie I do want to mention is Heavenly Creatures, directed by Peter Jackson, with Lewinsky and Winslet. Oh my God. Is that her name?
Kate.
Yeah, no, the other. Melanie Linsky.
Melanie Linsky.
Melanie Linsky, who gives an incredible performance, and Kate Winslet, who's always awesome. That's a really weird movie based on a true story, pretty dark. That was when Peter Jackson was still doing great film. Then he turned into this George Lucas wannabe or whatever.
Money-making machine.
And I'm just sick of it, Pete. You know, I'm ready for some
Dead
Alive Part 2 or something else along the vein of Heavenly Creatures. Okay, so let's get to our 50 through 26 best movies of the 90s. You want me to go first? All right, I'm going to go first. At number 50, I have Sling Blade, directed and starring and written by Billy Bob Thornton. And that was a pretty good movie, probably found down here.
Ooh. That's in the next video for me.
So, Sling Blade's a very well-received, acclaimed film. I like it. It's pretty good. Mustard on the biscuits.
I like the way you talk. I like the way you talk.
That's a good one of John Ritter's last movies. And Yoakam, Dwight Yoakam played the asshole. God damn.
Boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. So there you go, Sling Blade. My number 50. What you got at number 50?
My number 50 is Jacob's Ladder. Directed by Adrian Lyne. First starring role for Tim Robbins. And he carried the film. I saw it in the theater. I was on a date. And I only had a limited amount of time after the movie to take her home. And all we could do was talk about that movie until time was up and I had to bring her home. I missed out. That's how intense we just what do you think happened at the end of this movie? Mm-hmm. Guy goes to Vietnam and then he comes back home. But at the end, it's like he never left, maybe. So all of it's just a dream. And it's really trippy. And that was during my formidable trippy acid years.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the movie, the soldiers were being experimented on, maybe, or they were messing with something, smoking something, and You had no idea what was happening through the whole thing, whether he was suffering from mental illness.
He had a guardian angel played by Danny Aiello, who was his chiropractor and also his doctor. He saves him every time. It's barbaric. Danny Aiello is just great
In everything he does.
and Tim Robbins just keeps flashing back and forth from Vietnam to home, and yeah.
And he hallucinates through the whole thing.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth a watch. And one like Donnie Darko, you got to watch it over and over again.
Yeah, you'll get a lot out of it the more you watch it. Because, like you say, you can take any angle. That's a good one. That's not on my list. Awesome. Jacob's Ladder, number 50. All right, my number 49 is, I think you told me is not on your list. My number 49 is Groundhog Day.
It's not on my list.
Groundhog Day starring Bill Murray, Andy McDowell, and he lives the same day over and over. And everybody's seen that movie. It's a classic. I think it's a comedy classic. I believe in the novel he lived that same day for years, like a decade or more, maybe 2. I've been killing myself too, but the movie gives you the whole thing. Gives you the whole thing pretty good. All right, what's your 49?
My 49, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Ooh, it's starting to smell like warm almonds.
I didn't care for the first one. I like it better now in retrospect. I see what he was doing. That's why it's so low on my list too, compared to other comedies, because he is kind of silly. But
it is the introduction of Mini-Me.
But this was the introduction to Mini-Me and the Shadow pulling the stuff out of his butt, but it was out of the bag and the gerbil and everything. It had some great moments. And
Heather Graham.
what did you eat? Tom Arnold in the bathroom.
Twin Peaks fave. Who does number 2 work for? You Shogo's boss.
I'm still very badly burned down here. It really does get confusing on which one's which. But the second one was standout. Saw it in the theater. Had a great time.
It was standout. There's more quotable lines from the second one. I ate the baby.
Get in my belly.
Oh, that was so gross. Kudos to Heather Graham. She did a good job in that. You know.
I've got the turtle head poking out. Mike Myers, you should see him. Does the Gong Show now. You should look it up.
All right, number 49. My number 48 is Man on the Moon.
Ah.
That's on your list, but a little higher up, probably.
No, that's my number 48.
That's your number 48?
Both of ours 48s. Man on the Moon.
Wow, that's the first time that's ever happened.
Jim Carrey.
Directed by Milos Forman.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. And I thought he did a good job this decade with Man on the Moon and the People vs. Larry Flint. So Man on the Moon was great. You had the whole Taxi cast reunited. You know, Danny DeVito playing himself, and he had the character of being the talent manager for Andy Kaufman too.
George.
So that was great to see the whole cast of Taxi back, and it was pretty sad. You know, that Andy Kaufman, the whole story with Andy Kaufman, it was weird. It's really how it happened. You didn't know whether the guy was serious or fucking off his rocker or playing jokes or whatever. I mean, he'd have these moments where he was just really funny, and then he starts wrestling women. It's like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Courtney Love was awesome in it. Say what you will about her in real life. Right. She nails down her roles. Mm-hmm. And Jim Carrey.
Yeah. I mean, he was a little obsessive about playing that part, but that's good. You have to be.
There's a documentary on how obsessive he was. It's on Netflix. You should check it out.
Yeah, people think he lost his marbles. They're probably right. You gotta have a screw loose to be the kind of iconic comedian he is. Mm-hmm. He really is.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll go with 47 next, since 48 was both of us, Man on the Moon. 47 for me is Seven.
Ah,
Did not make your list.
no, barely missed it.
No. Seven's an okay movie. It almost didn't make my list. I'll give it kudos. Directed by...
David Fincher.
That's right. And Brad Pitt, showing he can actually act, alongside Morgan Freeman. And Gwyneth Paltrow ends up, what's in the box?
What's in the box, Kevin Spacey?
And of course, us Twin Peaks fans from season 3 had our Seven moment there.
Yep.
That was great.
It was pie.
It was cherry pie. So that's it. Yep, Seven. You've probably seen it. 7 Deadly Sins, and they solved the murder and yada yada. Okay.
I watched that during the day and I had to turn the lights on. My number 47, prepare to be dazzled. Godzilla, the 90s version, with Matthew Broderick and Jean Reno.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest duo.
Jean Reno.
Qu'est-ce que c'est French roast? More cream. I can watch that movie. That is the guilty pleasure of the 90s for me.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla. I can watch the movie anytime it's on. I can watch Matthew Broderick run around all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. What can you do?
Right, but they've let me down a ton.
They blew up the Chrysler building.
This let me down a little too when I first saw it because I had so many expectations for it. But that's just a fun movie to watch.
It is. It's way over the top. They get the babies coming out at the end. Then the mama comes back again, and they drive a taxi in its mouth. And it's just fun. It is I was going to say it's my Independence Day, but
And Hank Azaria is great.
it's my second favorite Roland Emmerich movie.
Actually, it's my second favorite too. All right, my number 40.
Oh, and Hank Azaria.
Yeah.
Can't forget Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer running around. The Simpsons running around in Godzilla.
I love Harry Shearer. He's so quiet and muted to the point.
Can someone give me a pillow?
Okay, 46. Number 46 for me is Star Trek First Contact. This is not on your list.
Ouch.
I loved The Next Generation. I was a fan. I watched it when it was on TV. I was too young for the first one. I still think The Next Generation is the best iteration of the whole thing. And First Contact was the best movie from The Next Generation. It was another one of those go back in time, fish out of water kind of things, which I love. And, shit, what's his name? I just saw him on the Adam Sandler movie. Trying to shoot him with the gun. I can't think of that guy's name.
Steve Buscemi.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
Oh, right. Gosh, can't remember his name either.
I do this shit live all the time. Anyway, he was great as the mad scientist who actually developed warp. I like that movie a lot. I think First Contact is one of the best Star Trek movies. We're talking about The Wrath of Khan, The Voyage Home, and First Contact. I think those are the three head and shoulders above the rest of them. Okay. What is your number 46?
Great! Here's a movie no one's ever heard of. Alex Winter of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure fame did his own movie, and it stars Randy Quaid and Mr. T, Bobcat Goldthwait. You got William Sadler, you got Brooke Shields, and you've got
You said Mr. T.
yes, she's the bearded lady. And they go to promote this product in a foreign country and end up getting pulled into a sideshow, a freak show run by Randy Quaid, where he turns everybody into freaks. And he turns Alex Winter into a freak boy, beast boy. And he'll eventually want to turn him into an ultimate beast boy where he'll eat and kill the other freaks. Yeah, forget about the plot. It's so much fun. And Keanu Reeves plays the dog man. But he didn't attach his name to it at all because his career was going places, unlike Alex's. But he helped us trend out. Squirrel! I am Maltese, the dog boy. You got to hunt that one down. I found it at a ShopRite or something, a little gas station, and the quote at the bottom was by the creator of Ren and Stimpy.
Right.
And he was just giving it all kind of accolades, and I'm like, okay, I'm on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
Bobcat Goldthwait is a sock puppet.
And you watched it and then played it for me, and then I had to go out and get it. We had to have a copy at all times. All of our friends had to see it because Freaked is one of them things. It's a special movie.
And since Bill and Ted is filming their next movie here in Louisiana, if I meet Alex Winter, I will tell him, I'm going to tell Keanu, I loved you in Freaked. And I'm just going to wink at Alex.
Yeah, tell Keanu, I loved you in Freaked.
And just wink at Alex and run.
I'm going to tell Alex, I'm going to cut your dick off. Hey, I'll let you keep the dress.
Mr. T willingly wanted to be the bearded lady.
Right. But he left, like, in the middle of filming one of the last scenes because he was sick of it.
It's just stupid.
This is dumb. I'm getting out of here.
It is really, really, really bad. Fun.
Great movie.
Great B fun. Great effects. Screaming Mad George and Steve Johnson, right? Mad Dog Johnson. Screaming Mad George. Steve Johnson.
Yeah, it is. It's gross and it's fun. All right. My number 45 is The Water Boy.
Water Boy.
You had that on your list.
It's a little higher up.
So, Coach, so much spit in the cooler.
Look, we're from down here. That's absolutely only part right.
Right. Right. But it was funny.
Yeah, I can laugh at myself. If you really want to talk down the bayou, you talk like this. This is the way you talk when you talk down the bayou.
Yeah, I mean, you got a little bit of it, but they didn't get all of it.
No, the coach, he's a little bit like Coach Orgeron with LSU.
That guy did the closest one of the real thing. Remember when Bobby Boucher showed up in the second half? He won the, what was it, the Bourbon Bowl?
But this is the way you would talk. You would talk like that. Foosball is the devil. And that's the way Kathy Bates should have said it. She's a Saints fan, by the way.
The water boy just needed some water. Shut up, Brent.
God, Brent, did you think of that all on your own?
All right, that was my number 45, The Water Boy. Classic comedy from the 90s, one of the best. And they should have done 3 sequels instead of all that crap he pushed out after, but whatever, that's just me. What's your number 45?
My number 45 is Falling Down. Old Joel Schumacher, here he goes again. Roller Coaster Joel.
Yep.
And man, Michael Douglas puts on such a great performance, and Robert Duvall, Best Supporting Actor nomination should have been, maybe he was, both of them. Joel Schumacher could really control a movie. He's so good at it when he's good, and when he's bad, he's so bad.
Barbara Hershey had like 2 scenes talking on the phone, and then the final scene at the end, but she brings it every time. That's a really good movie, based on a true story, and a lot of it I remember from the news. But it wasn't one guy that did all of it.
It just felt really...
Yeah.
I feel that guy's way. Give me a gun. Oh. And a McDonald's and a slow register.
Yeah. And then you take the sandwich out and like, look at that picture. It's so beautiful. And look at this. You know.
Yeah, he loses it.
Yeah. When he loses it in the the grocery mart kind of gas station thing with the Korean dude, I think. That's one of them things that the movie's got a bad reputation for because it was a pretty racist rant. But later on, he turned his blind eye to the Nazi guy, right? He fought the Nazi guy. So, and I thought that kind of made up for it. That he was just ignorant. But anyway, I love that movie too.
Pretty good. I saw it with a buddy of mine. Me and him went, and it was rollicking for that reason. Because we were into it for, let's see how badass this could be, and it was a lot more badass than I thought. Shooting rocket launchers down manholes and stuff on accident. And he's like, let's go to the little kid. It was fun. Number 45, falling down.
My number 44. My number 44 was written by Steve Martin.
Ooh.
And it's called L.A. Story.
That's on my list today, but higher up.
A little higher up. L.A. Story is a beautiful, romantic love story comedy. And there's a little goofiness to it, but it kind of just sticks with Steve Martin's character, really. And Jessica, what's her name?
Sarah
Jessica Parker is phenomenal in this. And I can't say that about her and everything. This is just perfectly cast, and she did a phenomenal job. And then
Richard E. Grant was perfectly
Richard
cast.
E. Grant was out of this world, and it was Victoria Tennant was, I think, Steve Martin's wife at the time when they filmed this.
Yep.
And they utilized Enya's soundtrack beautifully. A couple of songs from Enya. And there's a Magic Road sign, and it's a beautiful story, and you gotta see it. It's fun. I wish Steve Martin would write more movies.
What makes it all the more beautiful is he wrote it for his wife. She stars in it with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes and does a movie in Australia and hooks up with the male stud there and dumps him. So now when I go back and watch it, it makes me cry even more. Because when they get together at the end, it's like, bitch.
The fucking winds and shit, you know?
I know, he turned the tides for her.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch. And she dumped him for a stud.
An Aussie outback. Okay, what's your number 44?
Serial Mom.
Oh, John Waters.
Kathleen Turner. Probably my all-time favorite performance by her.
She's had so many good ones.
Based on a true story, hundreds of eyewitnesses. They couldn't get the woman, the star, to corroborate or work with the film, but yeah, you don't wear white after New Year's.
The white shoes.
Or after Labor Day. She goes mad, and she ends up going to court for murder, going to trial. She represents herself, and she gets herself off.
Sam Waterston is her husband.
Matthew Lillard's her son.
Matthew Lillard and Ricky Lake's
Ricky Lake.
her daughter. And it's a funny movie.
It's domestic quarrels about neighborhood, kind of a Tootsie neighborhood, and
it's a differently structured film than what John Waters usually gives us. Serial Mom is very straightforward.
Yeah, not a whole lot of fart and poop jokes.
No.
They do have a live performance from the Camel Toes, though. In other words, you shouldn't watch this movie edited on TBS.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to see the Camel Toes in all their glory on stage.
All right, that was your 44. My number 43 is Half Baked. Did that make your top 50?
It did not.
Okay, well, Dave Chappelle and Half Baked is one of my favorite comedies of that decade. It stands out. It's, with every decade you gotta have a good hippie movie. There were a ton of them in the 60s and the 70s we won't get into. My favorite from the 80s was Rude Awakening, no doubt about it. And my favorite in the 90s was Half Baked.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool. Fuck you, I'm out of here.
They killed B, yo. They killed Killer B. I don't remember what he said. That movie was hilarious. The poor guy in jail. I don't want to be a fish. Oh, shit. I'm from Jamaica, man. What part of Jamaica? By the ocean, man, boy. So I had to give Half Baked credit because it's the best hippie movie of the decade. So what is your number 43?
43. Frauds.
Oh, what? Good Lord. That did not make my list. And Frauds is a great movie.
It's a dark comedy, black comedy, starring Phil Collins and Hugo Weaving.
Hugo.
And Josephine Burns. Hugo Weaving and Josephine Burns are a couple. They get robbed. In the act of the robbery, she kills the thief, the robber, who ends up being one of their friends. Phil Collins believes that there could be. He's a insurance or an
adjuster. Yeah, insurance. He looks into insurance claims and insurance fraud.
And he kind of turns their world upside down. He goes into their house. He's just very peculiar. You see at the beginning of the movie, he's given dice right before his brother's when he's younger, and these dice own his life. So he decides, I'll 2, 4, or 6, I'll leave him alone. 1, 3, or 5, I'm gonna keep fucking with him. He keeps fucking with him. He busts them. He busts it kind of wide open. I'm not going to ruin the movie for you. You got to watch it. But then he's just got them by the balls. Mm-hmm. And he starts, like, robbing from them himself.
Right.
And he's a child. He's very childlike. He will put super glue on a telephone receiver and then ring the phone down. That's true. They don't have telephone booths anymore.
That's right.
He'll ring the phone and someone will go pick it up, just answer it, and then it's stuck to their ear because it's super glue. He just likes playing pranks, like lighting dog poo in a brown paper bag and ringing the doorbell.
He's definitely not well adjusted. He's definitely not an adult. He's got issues.
Well, first time you ever see Hugo Weaving, right before he, matrixed it out and became a bona fide blockbuster superstar, V for Vendetta. He was awesome in that. And Phil Collins, he holds his own. He holds his own. He's not great. A lot better than Buster.
No, he was great in Frauds.
Frauds is a great underrated movie that, again, you can't ever find. You have to go looking for it. It's worth a look.
Yeah, because those insurance adjusters, those insurance fraud guys will really fuck with you.
His name is Roland Coupling. Roland Coupling. That's Frauds.
Okay, my number 42 is not on your list. American Beauty.
It was.
Starring Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening and Chris Cooper and some weird ass guy that played the kid that filmed The Bag. And
yeah, forget his name. He was in American Horror Story.
Right. And then I don't remember who the girl was.
American Beauty.
Mira Sorvini was the one he was lusting after, but then there was the other one too. Maybe Juno. Maybe that was her. I don't know. Anyway.
It won my favorite movie of the year it came out.
It was a brilliant movie, and Kevin Spacey at the top of his game. It was just well written. I liked how, it took this normal suburban story and twisted it and made it wicked, but it loses a lot of its light once Kevin Spacey does what he does in real life and everybody hates his ass now. Besides that, the director, Sam Mendes, married Kate Winslet. Fuck him, because she was bae, and now she ain't bae no more. So that's my number 42, American Beauty, which is a rose. What is your number 42?
Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness.
Oh.
The third part in the Evil Dead trilogy. Ash gets sucked back into medieval times, and he must find his way back home. But first he has to get the Necronomicon. And he has to fight evil along the way. It's not the movie I wanted, especially after part 2. But he was back there. We had to get, deal with it. I'm not a big medieval guy. You get some classic quotes. Not a whole lot of real memorable kills or you ain't leading but two things right now, Jack and shit. Jack left town. Got the great lines though.
Yeah. That was just pillow talk.
That's what we call pillow talk, baby.
I thought you said I was beautiful. You got real ugly.
Blow. Gotta give it up. Ash. Greatest hero.
I went to the movies to see it. I was pretty disappointed because I wanted Evil Dead 2.
More splatter gore.
Yeah. And there are memorable parts to it. When the mirror shatters and it turns into little bitty ashes and they're all... And I remember that. And I remember this is dumb. And I remember the hot water pouring it down his throat to try to burn
hot chocolate.
Yeah, and like you would burn your throat. Okay, so at that point it became the Three Stooges. So yeah, and then Sally Forth. So it did not make my list.
It's pretty high up on mine.
My number 41 is the other Milos Forman classic from the 90s, The People vs. Larry Flint. That's not on your list. I liked it better than Man on the Moon.
Hustler.
Woody Harrelson and once again
Courtney Love,
which this performance is crazy, and Edward Norton playing the lawyer who is going nuts. And I mean, this pervert ends up losing court after court after court, and finally they get to the Supreme Court and he wins because justice is finally served. It hardly ever is in this world, but it's true. You can make fun of fucking politicians and the Pope, and you can say that that pastor's mother gave out hand jobs and shit because everyone knows it's so absurd that it wouldn't be true. And I mean, this was like a good battle, courtroom drama, but really the scope of the movie is about this guy's crazy life, which between all the sex and the money, they were pretty perverted. All right, that's my number 41, The People versus Larry Flint. And thank goodness Larry Flint won. The people being the government in this case, the prosecutors, who were so offended. And they were all Republicans.
They all go to Pornhub.
No shit. That motherfucker. Oh, as long as they can put their hands on the altar boys, I guess everything's okay, right? Sick bastards. Okay. What is your number 41?
Number 41 is another based on a true story. The Ghost and the Darkness.
Oh, I love that movie. Didn't make my list.
Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas all up in the 90s, huh?
Michael Douglas rocks.
Michael Douglas shows up pretty late in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And owns it. Val Kilmer carries the movie well. He's in charge of continuing the building of this railroad track. It's like early 1900s. There's a long time ago in Africa. And they've halted production of this railroad track because of the workers getting killed by lions. And they find out that there are two lions that are actually hunting down human beings as prey for fun and to fuck with them. And hundreds. I know they killed dozens. I think they killed hundreds of workers before these two lions were killed. They're in the Chicago Museum of Natural History. They're in Chicago. You can actually see the two real lions. And it's a great story. It's like they would try and fake them out and like move where the injured bodies were and throw blood in another building to try and attract the lions. And the lions knew exactly where the bodies were. Mm-hmm. They weren't getting fooled. So it was really man against beast. Mm-hmm. Michael Weird Douglas beast, gets called in.
Weird beast, because
they don't act like that.
In the movie, the lions don't act like lions. They act like something else. And so that's what makes it crazy.
Day of the Ghost and the Darkness. And it's a thriller. It's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. Michael Douglas shows up all romancing the stone, Indiana Jones, and ends up dancing with the natives. And yeah, he's a weird cat. And I'm not going to say what happens in the movie, but it's a pretty good movie. All right. That was your number 41. My number 40 is a film directed by Lawrence Kasdan called I Love You to Death.
I love you to death.
Based on a true story. We've done 3 true stories in a row here.
This is a great true story.
Yeah, this was based on a true story about a guy who gets caught by his wife cheating on her, so she decides she wants to kill him, so she hires people to kill him, and then they don't get the job done. And she tried to kill him too. And come to find out,
She tries to blow him up, just tries to poison him.
this guy's hard to kill. Played by Kevin Kline. And he cheats on Tracy Ullman, his wife, with all kinds of people, including Phoebe Cates. It's probably when they hooked up. No, they were together for a long time before that. That's true. Anyway, good movie, funny. River Phoenix, Keanu Reeves, William Hurt.
Keanu Reeves and William Hurt are the 2 hired men to do the murder.
Mm-hmm. And they're high on drugs the entire time.
You got to see how it ends, and you got to see, and what happens at the end actually happened in real life.
Right. Yeah, you gotta watch it. You gotta see how it ends. You gotta know that shit was real. I saw that couple on one of the talk shows when we were growing up.
They did all the talk shows after.
Yeah.
I guess we just spoiled it because we said the couple, so they're both alive.
Well, they were talking on the
Really
talk
hard
show
to kill this
together.
guy.
But yeah.
What?
They've come to terms with it, sort of. But
You don't want some
and Joan
crackers.
Plowright plays Tracy Ullman's mom, and yeah, she instigates Tracy Ullman to kill this motherfucker. It's a funny movie. It really is pretty funny.
We'll just kill him again.
Ladies Monopoly.
Tries to poison him. Tries to kill him with a bunch of aspirin, and all it does is really make him high. You know, I mean, he's really high there for a while. I just needed to take a good dump. So we got to shoot this asshole now.
So what's your number 40?
My number 40 is I'm doing the same thing I did last time. Reserving a David Lynch movie for number 40, Lost Highway. It is very low on my list because it's not a very happy movie. It's a hard movie to watch. It's a brilliant movie. It's done very well. It's very Lynchian. I think I was just okay. You did this again. I've seen you do this already. You're doing it again, and he's done it again since then. But we'll let Joe explain it when we come up to it later. Lost Highway.
Yeah,
David Lynch.
Lost Highway's in the next video for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more then. It's not my favorite David Lynch movie. I can't argue with it. They got some genuinely creepy moments in it. I don't know if it knew what it wanted to be. I don't know what it is. And I don't want to live in that world. So it's at 40.
Damn. I quit! My number 39 is Hot Shots Part 2.
Wow, that's low.
Yeah, Lost Highway. Okay, so
I'll be talking about Hot Shots in the next video.
Hot Shots Part 2 was one of those rare sequels that was way better than the original. And we can save that one for the next video. Other than to say that if you guys are fans of Airplane and stuff like that, there's few movies like that work, and the majority of them fall flat. And Hot Shots Part 2 worked. It really worked.
You would do yourself a favor by watching Rambo First Blood Part 2 and then watching Hot Shots Part 2. You get some of the references because they are kind of dated.
Yeah, no shit, that's true. What's your number 39?
Misery. Directed by Rob Reiner, starring James Caan and Kathy Bates in her Academy Award-winning performance. From the novel by Stephen King.
That's right.
An author gets snowdrifted and taken into the care of Miss Annie Wilkes, and she nurses him back to health.
She's his biggest fan.
Yeah, and she gets pretty pissed because he kills off her favorite character, so she decides she's going to keep him there until he brings her back to life by writing a new book, which could take months. But she makes sure he stays there for a while.
Yeah.
She's got him. She's a beast. Of course, pretty much everyone's probably seen the movie.
And Richard Farnsworth finally drags his ass to the house.
His character had a lot more to do in the and he does have a lot to do in the movie, but he is a major character in the book. Him and his wife. So sad.
So Misery did not make my list, even though it is one of the best movies of the 90s for sure.
Cock-a-doodie.
Yeah, she's terrifying. There were chances when I thought he could have got out better, but that's what Stephen King loves to do. He loves to put you in a situation and you try to figure it out, you try to work this and you hope it works, and then most of the time it doesn't, because he's a horror writer and that shit's scary as fuck. And cobbling and all that crap.
He gets a little personal. The author maybe could have made it out earlier in the movie, but he does end up taking it a little personal with this woman. Like, he wants to really get back at her. That'll fuck with you. Maybe he had a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome.
Right.
He did love her in a way. Oh, kill her.
Okay. My number 38 is a classic comedy, probably the most revered comedy of the 1990s. There's something about Mary.
Oh, that's my 38.
That's your 38? Holy shit, we did it again. What the fudge?
Something about that.
I'm not a huge fan of Ben Stiller, but this movie was great. Classic. It was a classic from the moment I watched it. It was funny. Even the little montages were funny with the sperm in the hair. And I don't know. I thought it worked. Frankston Beans.
Matt Dillon is so despicable. It's like you try and pull him out to make him a good guy, and then you put him back in this again. And I hated him all through the 80s since My Bodyguard. Then you finally kind of warm me over a little, and then you put him in this character, and it's like, yep, hate him again.
And the guy with the white head on his eye, Chris, what's his name?
Oh.
Yeah, that guy's never good in anything.
Chris Elliott.
Chris Elliott, he's never a good guy. Oh, yeah.
You love him, you take him.
So there's something about Mary. Everybody's seen that.
Mary.
Great. So I'm going to go to number 37. Number 37 for me is an Oliver Stone film called The Doors.
Mm-hmm.
You have that on your list? Mm-hmm. Okay, so The Doors is great, based on the band and their career and shenanigans, and Jim Morrison ends up dying, of course, and so
Meg Ryan found him in the bathtub.
it's wonderful. I love that. Right. I love that the actors learned to play the instruments and they had to play all the songs. And Kyle MacLachlan was a shoo-in to play the keyboards because the Doors are basically known for two things: the poetic lyrics and the phenomenal keyboard playing. And Kyle could play all the Doors tunes as an actor, so bam, he got the job right away. Put a wig on him and let's do it. And Kevin Dillon, who played the drummer, couldn't play a lick of drums, so he had to try really hard to get all the songs right. So kudos to him. I don't remember who played the guitar player, but Val Kilmer deserved some Academy attention that year. That was a solid year, 1991. And Oliver Stone's featured on my list quite a bit. So there you go. That's The Doors at number 37. What's your number 37?
My number 37 is Outbreak.
Toyka?
Directed by Wolfgang Peterson.
Toyka?
Starring. Somebody you don't even know, someone that knows that movie first, back and forth won't know that. Starring Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman, Rene Russo, Donald Sutherland, Kevin Spacey, Cuba Gooding Jr., Patrick Dempsey, John Hurd, JT Walsh, name dropping there. And Wolfgang Petersen's movies are all kind of the same. If you watch The Perfect Storm, if you watch his remake of The Poseidon Adventure, he's going to give you a good action-packed little movie. And this one is kind of pulse-pounding. It's a race to find the disease, which is this monkey from Africa. And the whole movie is trying to hunt down how this disease gets to America. And so they got to follow the trail, follow where the monkey came in, what ship, what pet store it was sold to, who got it from there. And meanwhile, the military is about ready to just firebomb this town because it's getting out of hand. People are dying and they don't want this thing spreading. As soon as the president realizes this shit can come crawling across the White House lawn, he issued, let's bomb that town. And Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr. got to hurry up and save the day. And Donald Sutherland is great in it. Morgan Freeman's great. It's military. It's kind of political, but it's kind of horror. But it's a good thrill ride, and you'll enjoy it. I don't believe Rene Russo and Dustin Hoffman were ever married, but yeah, I guess she's got the antibodies now. Dum.
So that's Outbreak for you. Yeah. My number 36 is another Oliver Stone movie called Natural Born Killers. Is that on your list?
No, it should be. Rodney Dangerfield alone.
With
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.'s great performance on the side. Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis.
Tommy Lee Jones, what little he's in it, and Tom Sizemore.
That's right. Of Twin Peaks fame. So yeah, I like that movie. It's pretty good. It's not on your list. That's messed up. Well, it's fun. It's kind of psychedelic. It's kind of like a road movie, and that's they're teenagers or whatever, young adults killing people. There you go.
The Bonnie and Clyde of a new generation.
Yeah, and of course tells a story about society and how we're obsessed with things like this because they become stars. People want them to get away with it and shit. And whether they do or not is whether you've seen the movie or not. Okay. That was my number 36. What's your number 36?
Mickey Mallory sitting in a tree. My number 36. It's a twister. It's a twister.
Right.
See, he's correct. Natural Born Killers over Twister. But
to each their own.
Bill Paxton, we all love Bill Paxton. May he rest in peace. If you ever want to see him again, you might have to watch Twister and see the woman that reminds you of your first ex-wife,
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt.
Particularly in that film.
This character.
Dressed the way she's dressed.
Acting the way she's acting.
Is my first wife.
Sign the damn papers. Sign the papers.
I was never going to like that movie from the get-go. Because they have the whole tiff, right? Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt. The divorce, whether they're going to get divorced or not. Yeah. Anyway, painful.
And the chick from Lost Boys, Jamie Gertz. And Philip Seymour Hoffman. And Twin Peaks fame, the guy that meets Naomi Watts in the park
Oh
to
yeah.
get the money.
Oh yeah.
And Carrie Elways as the rival weathermen trying to set off their tornado detection sensors. And we have Dorothy. And the race is on. Chasing tornadoes.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it.
Yeah. Food. And
Who directed that?
Jan DeBont.
Okay.
He was a cinematographer, director of photography for a lot of things.
Like Spielberg related kind of stuff.
Yeah, big blockbusters. And he gave his own movie.
Mm-hmm. And he made a good big blockbuster.
It's a pretty big blockbuster.
Yeah. I don't really care for tornado chasing. I mean, watching the cows and the farm and shit flying up is crazy.
We got cows.
All right, on to number 35. My number 35 is not on your list. It's a movie written and directed by Albert Brooks, and it's called Mother. That's my number 35, and yes, I think it's one of the best films of that decade.
Not that Jennifer Lawrence mother shit that came out last year.
No, this one is Princess Leia's mother, Debbie Reynolds, right?
Yep.
And Debbie Reynolds is just on point in this movie. She plays the mother. Albert Brooks is having a hard time with women. He's a successful author, so he has a lot of money, but he's suffering from writer's block, and he's trying to focus on his relationships and can't get it right. So he figures if he can conquer the ultimate relationship of figuring out his mother and why he, in his mind, she didn't really give a shit about him. If he can figure this relationship out, he'll figure out his relationships with all the other women in his life. And he has this whiny little brother, played by a Northern Exposure guy. And I tell you, that almost made me not like the movie because he was so whiny in it. He really was. And him and his family, we're going to bring the kids over. But Albert Brooks tells him off. And there's this thing running stick with the food, and I just think that is hilarious. When they're shopping and they're talking about food, they're at the house and the mother keeps pulling food out. It's like Fantasia with food. And I just think it's fucking hilarious and charming. Now, if you've been married before or lived with people, the food thing becomes an issue. Like, the fucking food question. Oh, I hate that. Okay, so that's my number 35. I'm sticking to it. What's your number 35?
Oh, I'm sticking to this one. The Last Boy Scout.
Tony Scott.
Great Scott, Tony Scott made my list, and it's not True Romance.
That didn't make my list either.
Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans. Buddy movie. One of them's a private detective. The other one's a boyfriend of the slain Halle Berry. And together, he's a former quarterback too. And together they gotta stop this megalomaniac all in by halftime of the big football game. And NFL didn't give him any rights, so it was like the Stallions versus the... And at funny, I think it's so funny. I was going to say stupid funny, but it's pretty funny. There's a lot of curse words coming from little children's mouths, stuff like that. The chick from Halloween 4 and 5, I forget her name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Not annoying.
she's kind of a scream queen now. Forget her name, but she's the daughter. She's pretty annoying too. She talks shit to her dad. It was an accident. Whoops, I slipped and fell in your dick. My dick fell into your wife.
Gross.
I forget how that goes. Watch it for the screenplay.
Yeah, pretty funny. Didn't make my list. All right, my number 34 is a movie directed by Frank Oz called In and Out.
Hey, we might as well talk about that now.
So it's my number 34.
I'm on number 30.
Okay. So let's get in and out of the way. He's in the closet and he's out the closet, basically. It's Kevin Kline in another tour de force performance, surrounded by all of his guy buddies. He's got a fiance who he's been engaged with for 3 years,
Joan Cusack.
and they've never had sex.
Things begin to seem fishy.
Because he's a teacher, and one of his students,
Matt Dillon,
wins an Academy Award for acting. And in the movie, Matt Dillon played a soldier.
the movie that he won an Academy Award for.
Right, in the movie, yes.
A gay soldier?
A gay soldier. And when he accepted the award, he wanted to thank his real life inspiration, which was this teacher of his. And so the whole town was watching, the small town.
Mr. Brackett.
After that, they all thought Mr. Brackett was gay.
And he's gay.
And Tom Selleck shows up, and he's trying to stay in town all week. All the media show up, but then they kind of lose interest and leave. He stays all week long. He stays up until the wedding. And it's just an amazing movie because it's the main character has a lot of issues he needs to work out.
You see hints all through. I mean, they all get him Barbra Streisand movies for his bachelor party. I mean, the signs were all there.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck's like, they wanted me to be a blonde. He's like, with your coloring?
Right.
And it's like,
And the students are trying to be cool about it, but they see it too. They're like, well, you dress nice, you smell good, you're smart, you're illiterate, gotta be gay. But he's having issues himself with it, so funny movie. Debbie Reynolds is in that too.
Debbie Reynolds plays Kevin Kline's mom, and Wilford Brimley plays his dad. Is there something you want to tell us, son?
And Joan Cusack plays his fiance, and she's phenomenal.
Is there anybody who isn't gay? Fuck Barbra Streisand. It's a very funny movie. And my older brother had it, and he was gay, and he enjoyed the hell out of it. So there's no reason why you should think it's got anything to do with, oh, they're just making fun, or you just better take it tongue in cheek. Because it helped my brother.
Mm-hmm.
It helped my brother be more comfortable with his coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Or just being honest about it.
Yep. Directed by Frank Oz, who of course is Fozzie Bear and Yoda. All right, what's your 34?
Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls.
I love that movie. It's not on my list, but it is a phenomenal comedy.
Shrike, better than the original,
Way better.
in my humble opinion. They have to go and get Ace Ventura and help, and he has to come out into Africa, where nature's calling.
Right? To save Chicago.
Chicago. And it's Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. I don't know how the man doesn't get sued, because he steals everybody else's performances and just does what he does. And he was at the height of his powers, being silly, goofy Jim Carrey. And if you just go back and watch it, giggle through the whole thing. Like a glow. There's really not much to say. It's an adventure with Ace Ventura.
Mm-hmm. Way better than the first. So if you saw the first and you didn't like the first one, watch the second.
I saw the second one and went back, and now I can find a way to like the first one.
Right.
And now I really do like the first one because I know the character, which was so fleshed out in the second movie. He was so fleshed out. He doesn't like big white bats.
Okay, my number 33 is a foreign film, which is not on your list. The City of Lost Children.
No, it's not.
Number 33 on my list.
Directed by?
Jean-Pierre Jeunet. And
Everything he does is good.
everything he does is great, even Alien Resurrection. I forgive him for it. Because he used his cast, and that was a great cast. That's fun. Anyway, A City of Lost Children. That stars, what's his name? Hellboy.
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman. He plays the strong man. And yeah, the whole thing's in French, so he speaks in French. He says, Petit frère. That's about his line through the whole thing. But it's great. It's this weird guy who survives off of the dreams of kids, and he's kidnapping them, some weird shit like that. And they have to go and try to rescue the strong man's brother or something. It's a beautiful thing to look at. It's mesmerizing, and you get lost in the world. The music by Angelo Badalamenti, of course, his soundtracks.
And their relationship.
Genet they're great.
Ron Perlman and his child.
Mm-hmm.
The child.
Dominique Pinot plays a guy that's got like 7 different versions of him. That guy's a great actor. I love everything he's in. He's awesome. And there's the 2 real twin sisters that have this one cooking scene, and they're all reaching around each other while they're talking and doing their lines, and they're all helping season each other's food and shit. That's like some weird twin shit that you and I could probably work out if we had a scene together. But those women did it like as though it was a condition between them. They were cooking. They were helping each other cook and doing their lines at the same time. I love that movie. That movie's freaky. So if you ever get a chance to see it, I remember Terry Gilliam posted about it when it came out, and Terry Gilliam was on top of his game at the time, releasing his own movie. So for him to give a shout out to another director, I was like, okay, I gotta check this shit out, and I'm glad I did. There you go. Number 33, The City of Lost Children. What's your number 32?
Is LA Story. We talked about it. Steve Martin.
LA.
Did you go see it?
That's a great movie.
Directed by Mick Jackson of Volcano fame. He's usually an action director. Does comedy. It's a good job.
Yeah. LA Story's great. He's in love with the girl, but, he's single. And the girl he's in love with seems to have an on-love relationship with Richard E. Grant. And Steve Martin ends up taking off with Sarah Jessica Parker for a weekend, and they end up at the same place that the girl he likes is, Richard E. Grant. There's a scene where they're all trying to have sex, and they're all thinking of somebody else. It's a funny movie. You have to check that out. Steve Martin. I wish he wrote more fucking movies. All right, my number 32 is definitely on your list. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
That's in the next video.
Okay. I saw that movie at the theater. I never laughed so hard in my life at a movie in the theater. So it'll always stand out for that for me until it happens before. Again, that shit was amazing. When I thought they were going to turn the South Park movie into a freaking
Terrence and
Phillip movie. And I'm like, I just got punked. And then after the Terrence and Phillip movie bit, I didn't want it to end because that was the funniest shit I ever saw in the theater. What's going on here? Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. You're the one that fucked your uncle, Uncle Fucker.
You fucked your uncle. I must say I fucked your uncle yesterday.
And Ike's in the audience repeating the words. Right. And all the kids come out singing the song. You're a bona fide fucker, Uncle Fucker. The movie's great. Okay, we're going to talk about that in the next video. What's your number 32?
He's the biggest bitch of them all. We got 2 from Adam Sandler coming. Happy Gilmore. The ultimate golfing movie.
Of course.
Next to Caddyshack.
It just missed making my list.
But Christopher
classic.
McDonald as Shoot 'em Gavin. Shooter.
Yep.
And Adam Sandler can drive the ball 400 yards. He can't putt worth a shit. So he enlists the help of Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
And His grandma is played by Frances Bay.
Of Twin Peaks fame.
Got that right.
And she's awesome. in
She
it.
shows up later on the list.
Yeah, and Carl Weathers had lost his hand to an alligator. So he couldn't golf anymore, but he could teach.
Adam Sandler's character, Happy Gilmore's less than happy when he's on the course and cusses and they got to reel him in and he becomes a sensation because of his long drives.
Yeah.
And it's a good comedy movie, a good sports movie, a good Adam Sandler movie.
Yep.
Second best Adam Sandler movie on this list.
Yep, The Waterboy and Happy Gilmore are my two favorites that he ever did. All right, my number 31, speaking of Roland Emmerich, is Independence Day.
What?
Independence Day could be considered one of the best movies of the decade.
It's in the next video for me.
When I know that it's fucking propaganda coming from the upper 1% to try to get us to think that aliens are all evil and they want to blow us up. Well, the truth is, if they really wanted to freaking blow us up, we'd be blown up. But they just didn't get here yet. Well, look out when they do. We have to have that Space Force ready. And the president's speech is one of the stupidest things ever. It's an inside running joke. You know, like, oh yeah, you cried during the president's speech on Independence Day. Oh, man. Oh, go there, your mother.
Bill Pullman.
Yeah, so we don't talk about Independence Day. Everybody's seen that. And since I live with my wife, anytime it's on, it comes on. And that's one of the 5 movies she chooses if it's on, and it's on all the time. So I've seen Independence Day 200 million times. What's your number 31?
My number 31 is The Waterboy, Adam Sandler. We talked about it already. Football player, Bobby Boucher. He lets his anger out. He becomes a stud on the football field.
Water sucks. It really sucks.
Henry Winkler,
Henry Winkler.
what mama don't know.
Now, Henry Winkler, that was his return to glory.
That's right.
Right there. Because after the Fonz, I loved Night Shift, but after that, there was nothing. And the Waterboy put him back on the map. Now he's an award-winning actor.
Barry.
And we're going to give credit where credit is due. It comes straight from the Waterboy.
That's right.
Right.
Hallelujah. What happened to Foruza?
She's always going to be the craft girl. Okay, my number 30 is a movie I don't think you have on your list. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Directed by Henry Selick and created by Tim Burton. And you got to see it if you haven't seen it. Danny Elfman wrote the incredible soundtrack. Danny Elfman sings all the songs. And when he's not singing as Jack Jack Skeleton's voice is
Chris Sarandon.
And it's amazing because it really does sound like the same 2 voices. They do great. Catherine O'Hara
She sings her own part.
Sally.
Yeah, she acts and sings.
So beautiful, beautiful movie. It's a Halloween movie set at Christmas. So brilliant stop motion. Great soundtrack. Okay,
Everybody should see it.
it's a classic, and that's why it's at my number 30. What's your number 30?
In and Out.
Oh,
We talked about it. Oh, In and Out
Stand
where?
straight up.
Excuse me, are we a little teapot?
Tuck in your shirt. No, untuck your shirt.
Halfway.
Aww. You hate this, don't you?
Well, look at it.
Okay, repeat after me. Yo.
Yo.
What did you say next?
Hot damn.
Hot damn.
Hot damn.
That's a fabulous window treatment.
That's a fabulous window
That was
treatment.
a trick.
Ah!
Real men do not dance.
Oh, come on.
Look at Arnold. Arnold doesn't dance, he can barely walk.
Feel the music, feel the beat. He can't help it, he starts dancing. And Kevin Kline's shaking that ass.
Shaking that ass.
Fucking hilarious. Such a good movie. In and out.
I'm gay.
I'm gay. And Tom Selleck. Now, there's a scene with Tom Selleck and Kevin Kline kissing that's just
Men with men.
that's just worth the movie right there. Oh shit. Okay, my number 29 is a Woody Allen movie, so I know it's not on your list. It's one of my all-time favorite Woody Allen movies. It's a very forgotten film. It's called Manhattan Murder Mystery. It's Woody Allen and Diane Keaton, and it's just absolutely amazing movie. Just Alan Arkin and shit, what's her name from the Wes Anderson movies?
Francis McDormand.
No, God damn it, I guess her name. Fuck. Anyway, gosh, she's awesome in it.
Nature Lights.
You know, I don't think you've even seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing movie. They meet one of their next door neighbors, and then the next door neighbor's wife dies, and Woody Allen gets it in his head that the husband may have killed the wife. So they start trying to manipulate their way into this grieving man's life to look for clues. And they decide to try to get him to confess by coming up with this crazy scheme involving recording their voices and making a weird phone call. And come to find out, I'm not going to tell you the rest of it because you have to watch the movie to see if the guy's completely fucking innocent or guilty as all fuck. It is a funny movie, and Alan Arkin is just Alan Alda. I keep saying Alan Arkin. Oh my God, Alan Alda. Excuse me. Is brilliant in it. Big difference. He's worth watching a movie just to see him. But Woody Allen and Diane Keaton are at the top of their game, but they've never been better in a movie. Okay, there you go. Manhattan Murder Mystery, number 29. What is your number 28?
Oh, we didn't do my 29.
What is your number 29?
You go first. You do 29 and I do 29. Dark Man. Dark Man.
Really?
Sam Raimi's Dark Man. Starring Liam Neeson.
And Francis McDormand.
Liam Neeson.
The Liam Neesons.
The ultimate dark hero. He's Dark Man.
Francis McDormand is awesome. Sam Raimi's direction is awesome.
After being horrifically burned in an accident, which renders him the feeling of no pain, and he makes masks and he wears them and he plays other people and he runs around and fucks with their world. It's a crime thriller, and it's a superhero action movie because he's Dark Man.
And of course, you can't have a superhero movie without Danny Elfman doing the soundtrack.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. He was kind of at the height of it. It was right after Batman.
Yep. And there's this very special cameo for Sam Raimi fans of Bruce Campbell at the very end.
Yep, Ted Raimi's in it too.
Who plays Darkman. But I thought the Liam Neesons played Darkman.
Liam Neeson's, who never led a movie in his life. Here he is, and he's a superhero. You go along for the ride, he's like a cockroach. You think you squash him and he pops back up.
Yeah. Darkman's definitely better than Army of Darkness. Pretty good. That was your 29.
Yep.
My number 28 is Hudson Hawk. Hudson Hawk's not on your list.
Not on my list.
Now, you see, that's almost sacrilege. But everybody else watching is like, really, Hudson Hawk? You guys suck. I don't know what to tell you other than that the screenplay is brilliant. There's this balance between an airplane kind of slapstick, spoofy kind of comedy, but there's also an intelligence to it. There's a smartness to it. There's a couple of shticks in it that just work. Timing the robbery scenes to songs is one of those things that when you do that in a movie, you've got yourself a script, man. You got a script. That shit was funny. Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello, and you know old Bruno can sing, and they're singing all these old classic tunes, doing these crazy robberies, getting away with it. The CIA's involved. There's other entities involved. Who plays the nun? Andy McDowell. Mm-hmm. And she does the dolphin. And the two villains are Richard E. Grant. God damn, he's
And
so
Sandra
good.
Bernhard.
Sandra Bernhard. Bonnie! Bobo! That shit was fucking funny. And if you've seen it and you didn't like it,
It's over the top.
It's very over the top. It's so stupid. It tries to get serious for a minute, too. And it's like, you just want to... No, I love Hudson Hawk.
Directed Heathers. No. Yes.
Yeah. Lehman and the guy that wrote it is also, I think, the guy that Lehman wrote Heathers by himself. Anyway.
Daniel Waters.
Yeah, they've worked before together, Lehman and Waters. Okay, so Hudson Hawk, brilliant screenplay, funny as all shit, but it is very stupid.
It's Michael Ritchie. I always get Michael Ritchie and Michael Lehman mixed up. Michael Ritchie's the one that did Student Body.
Right. What's your number 28?
My number 28 is another Tim Burton movie. No, I didn't have one to begin with. Batman Begins. No, Batman Returns.
He didn't do Batman. You know, Batman Begins was a good movie.
Yeah.
And it was good because it was about Bruce Wayne
Yeah.
and his transformation into Batman.
Yeah.
Which is why people say Christian Bale is the best Batman. Because he was in a movie that actually focused on Bruce Wayne.
Right.
He's not a better Batman than Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton would have pulled that shit off too. But it would have been in a much better movie.
Christopher Nolan's not a better Batman director because he brought it back to darkness.
Right.
Tim Burton had it in darkness. They were like, we can't sell toys with this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The Penguin,
And there
Catwoman.
was a balance of comedy there too. I know people didn't like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. It was a weird take.
and Shrek.
But
Max Shrek, Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken was amazing. But Michelle Pfeiffer, that's the greatest thing ever right there. I mean, golly, it doesn't get any better than that. Not at all.
I believed it. Michael Keaton, best Batman.
Yes.
Batman Returns, best Tim Burton Batman movie.
It did not make my list, but I do love it more than most people. Because of Michelle Pfeiffer. I can watch her play Catwoman all day long.
More Danny Elfman music.
Yeah, some good stuff. Dark shit. And Pee Wee Herman played the Penguin's dad
Yes, he did.
for Tim Burton fans.
And in Gotham, he plays his dad.
It's really weird. That was your number 28?
I think so, yes.
Okay, we got two more left for this video, and we're right at an hour and a half again, of course, because we take forever, but these are to be cherished. You want to know our thoughts about this stuff. My number 27 is a James Cameron film, True Lies.
It's in the next video for me.
True Lies was one of the movies that, if it wasn't for James Cameron directing it, I don't know if I'd have watched it or not. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay. You had Jamie Lee Curtis, okay. James Cameron directing it. All right, I'm going to watch it. And that shit was on fire. It was fucking great action. That's the way you do an action movie. That's the way you blend comedy. That's the way you have created drama within the fucking action that works. You know the characters right out of the gate. It's funny how some characters can be defined right out of the fucking gate. It's just the way it was written, the way it was presented. And there is no better sidekick than Tom Arnold. Oh my God. That's just... He makes that movie. And he deserved 5 times the amount of money they paid him. Because, I mean, to be in a buddy movie with Arnold, He had to carry a big load. So True Lies is in the next video for you.
Yes, it is.
The movie's just as funny as it is action-packed. I didn't care for the last sequence, the closing sequence with the whole plane and that stuff. And what's her name got on my nerves? The daughter. Even though she's fine as all fuck. Elijah Dushku. She was just a kid back then. Okay, what's your number 27?
My number 27 is The Exorcist 3.
Ooh, not on my list.
Exorcist was written by William Peter Blatty, directed by William Friedkin. Exorcist 3 was based on the book Legion by William Peter Blatty, and he directs this movie. And what he does directing-wise is amazing coming out of the gate. It's so, like, immediately you could tell it's his own. If he did other movies, he would film it just like this. George C. Scott is great as Detective Kinnaman. And Jason Miller returns as the priest.
Jason Patrick's dad, Jason Miller.
And he's incredible. Of course, he's being possessed by the Gemini Killer, who is played by Brad Dourif, who replaces Jason Miller in the middle of the movie.
Of Blue Velvet and Dune fame.
Criminally underrated performance by Brad Dourif. Criminally underrated movie because of Exorcist 2, The Heretic being such a flake.
Yes. The Exorcist 3 is such a great movie, and
You
no one knows.
You just go straight from 1 to 3.
Yep. Screw that 2 shit.
Scary. One of the scariest jump scares ever in a movie because it took so damn long. Just going down this really slow, and right before you get down there, this thing just walks across. That's all it does, but it comes really quick, and it's got shears. And the music was just so loud, and it was like, Jesus, did you just do that? They threw in an Exorcist at the end because it's called The Exorcist, but, we'll have to go digging deep to find William Peter Blatty's original ending, what he wanted to do. But I forgive it. Great movie. It's a great crime thriller, Exorcist 3.
Okay. It's not on my list, but it is very good. Very well made. It was a shock when I saw it after the letdown of part 2 of Exorcist 2. It was a shock when I watched it. I was like, wait a minute. Why did they do this with part 2? Like, why didn't this isn't like The Exorcist at all. It's a totally different movie than The Exorcist. It's a different structure. It's a different feel. And it works because it's dark as all hell. All right, the last movie of the evening.
7.
Yeah, it is dark like 7. Number 26, last movie of the evening for me. Cape Fear, directed by Martin Scorsese. Is that on your list?
I know, it should be.
No, it's crazy. It's like we've got totally different movies. Nick Nolte, probably his best performance ever. He owns the movie. Then you've got, what's her name? American Horror Story.
Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange. She's great. I love their dynamic. Juliette Lewis is the daughter. She looks way too old to be playing the part until she makes out with Robert De Niro. Then she looks like a child because that shit was gross. And this is Robert De Niro. In my opinion, Robert De Niro's best performance. I'm bearing you all. All right, Chuck. So let's make sure if you've never seen Cape Fear, to check it out. Great Scorsese film, one of his best films. There's a lot of zooming in, and it gets really annoying after a while. I still gave him Best Director that year, in a great year of film in '91. But you can only zoom into something for so long before it starts to get obvious. But hey, kudos. Okay, what you got for number 26? The final video, the final entry of the video.
The Fifth Element.
Oh,
You're
that's
talking
on my list.
That's in the next video for you.
Yes.
Directed by Luc Besson. Worked on the story for years and years. Had Bruce Willis in mind. Still was able to cast Bruce Willis. and Mila Jovovich as the Fifth Element with Chris Rock. And you got your
Chris Rock.
did I say Chris Rock? I mean Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker, yes.
My bad.
Come on, my man! Come on, my man!
And Gary Oldman is the bad guy. We'll talk about that more in the next one. The Fifth Element. If you haven't seen it, it's a sci-fi space adventure.
Ian Holm.
Ian Holm.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of.
And Luke Perry had a really small role at the very beginning.
Did he now?
Yes.
This movie's all about the Bruce Willis, Corbin Dallas. Corbin, my man.
And it's directed by Luc Besson. It's written by Luc Besson. It's his best movie, in my opinion. People love The Professional. He's got
La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, and he's got a few that are really good. But he's got a bunch of shit he wrote that has been successful that wasn't very good, like The Transporter and shit like that. I just didn't care for that.
He also wrote Unleashed.
Yes, that's an awesome movie. But still, The Fifth Element's my favorite thing he ever directed. So we'll save that for the next video. It's insanely high on my list. Spoiler alert. All right, so there you go. Numbers 50 through 26.
You're going to know a lot more in the next video.
Oh, yeah, because I got about 9 of them that he doesn't even have on his list in my top 25. It's crazy.
I've got a couple you don't have to.
Yeah, like that last Boy Scout shit. It's a good screenplay. Make sure you check it out. All right, that's it. Top 50 movies of the 90s, part 1, 50 through 26. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And this has been Twin Perspective. And subscribe so you can get the second half of this. And we will see you in the trees. Bye.